he stops breathing, I just let go of the bucket and I don't want to live myself. I wouldn't want to live without my son.
Hello, tonight, our exclusive with little Julian Honan. Julian's tinny capsized in shark-infested waters. The 7-year-old then survived all night in the ocean, bravely clinging to a plastic bucket with his dad. Tonight, Julian tells his incredible story for the first time to Matt Doran.
They all have one. That incredible fisherman's tale that just gets bigger and bigger and less believable with every telling. Mine's the escape artist kingfish that's apparently now the size of a dinghy. And look, you will struggle to believe tonight's tale too. Two mates and the most fearless 7-year-old boy you're likely to meet who head off for a day of fishing in the winter waters here in Queensland's Sunshine Coast. Now, what happens out there is the stuff of nightmares. A vanishing boat, a death, and then a series of little miracles. This is a fishing story, a survival story for the ages. That time, 3 Queenslanders took on the Pacific Ocean and won.
Do it now.
Do it now.
Action.
That is very good. You could have a career in this.
Action.
7-year-old Julian Honan is very much the one that got away. Not long before recording this interview, he was declared dead, unresponsive for almost 4 minutes.
He was dead. He had no heart rate, no pulse rate. He wasn't breathing. Technically, this kid's dead.
But with the help of his dad, Micah, and their fishing buddy, Stephen Jaycock, little Julian survived more than 6 hours in the open ocean after their 5-metre tinny capsized and sunk. Just 2 old white buckets keeping the 3 afloat. Julian's father can't forget the sensation of his boy going limp in his arms.
I know if he goes, I'm going with him. If he stops breathing, I just let go of the bucket and I don't want to live myself. Because I wouldn't want to live without my son.
There's no doubt in your mind.
No. If he goes, I'm going. He's just my one and only. He's the reason why I live, the reason why I breathe, the reason why I do anything in life. He's just, he fulfills me. Just one smile of him and I know everything is all right.
That's the smile his dad is talking about. But what really makes Julian happy is this.
I got something.
You didn't celebrate enough.
I did!
We're locked in a fierce fishing contest. Julian gets 10 points for every brim. He's already hooked one.
You're a regular Rex Hunt. What's going on? What have you got on there, Moby?
Oh, brim!
Oh, second brim, yes.
What's 10 plus 10?
10 plus 10 is 20, mate. So that makes you well and truly in the lead. The way you executed that catch, hey, well done. High five. Yes. You get excited. You get excited when the fish takes off, don't you?
You can't it'll get hooked in the mouth.
Who was the supreme fisherman?
Me.
Yeah, are you? You just beat me, only just.
It was good.
Oh?
Julian is the most lovable child that you'd ever meet. Everyone loves my son. Every time you see him, he's always, clapping and just so happy to see you. He's the joy of life.
Julian's mum, Susan, remembers him having a fishing rod in his hand long before his first birthday.
He'd even practice at home how to throw it like a little baby, like a little kid just being able to walk. Yeah, and he was always into his fishing.
You're almost trying to tell me he could fish before he could walk.
Yes.
I knew I will be a lead. I just love catching fish.
It's as simple as that,
It's
right?
just so fun.
And it was a fishing adventure that Julian, his dad Micah, and their mate Stephen set out on June 8 this year. CCTV from the Mooloolaba Coast Guard shows them loading their tinny and heading out to sea.
We arrived at Mooloolaba roughly at 2:30 in the afternoon and put the boat in the water. And I let the Coast Guard know that we're departing, where we're going.
They cast their lines 14 kilometres off the Caloundra coast, and the fishing was good.
Catch anything?
Yeah, Mikey got some pretty big slaty brims. Julian got a big parrotfish.
How do you fight a parrotfish? What's it like bringing it in?
It really wants to run away.
Does it?
Yep.
Do you have to fold your arms when you talk about that?
No. No.
They'd planned to sleep overnight on the boat, just as they'd done at this exact spot only 2 weeks earlier.
I set the anchor, had a quick feed, and laid down next to my son.
What should have happened is you sleep through the night, wake up and start fishing. Of course, it didn't happen that way. What did happen?
I just woke up because my feet were wet.
While they slept, the anchor rope had tangled around the outboard's propeller, causing the rear of the tinny to be dragged underwater. The boat was filling up fast.
So I just quickly got up, woke up Stephen. I reckon I even kicked him or something. I couldn't believe what I'm seeing.
And then you opened your eyes, and what did you see?
Half of water coming in.
What, the boat was filled half up with water?
No, a little bit touched me.
On your feet?
Yes.
I woke to him screaming, looked around, and there was probably 30 centimetres of water all over the floor of the boat.
I just grabbed the radio and called Coast Guard on Channel 16.
Coast Guard Mooloolaba, security.
They had life vests, flares, even an emergency beacon stored in a tub on board.
And that tub should have floated, but the boat just instantly rolled, pitched and rolled. Everything's got trapped up in the bow of the boat.
Stephen is thrown clear.
The boat sunk all within seconds.
But for an agonising 10 seconds, Micah and his son are trapped beneath the canopy, going down with the boat in the screaming darkness of the Pacific Ocean.
They got trapped up under the vinyl awning of the boat. They were down a fair way. They come up with a big gasp there, and they both basically tried to climb onto my back, and they were pulling me under. They were really freaking out. I said, "We're right, we're all alive, we're above water."
Alive, but far from all right. Stephen weighs more than 200 kilograms, a large man and a below-average swimmer. And 7-year-old Julian is hardly able to keep his head above the choppy water. But then they spot 2 buckets that have floated to the surface. Turned upside down and filled with air, the buckets become life-saving flotation devices.
Julian calmed me down. He said, "It will be all right, Dad." He actually pointed towards Caloundra and said, "Oh, we just have to swim that way, Dad."
Where were you holding on to Dad?
Here?
Just holding on to his neck?
Yes, and the bucket.
Thank goodness for that bucket, right?
I squeezed on the bucket really hard.
You squeezed on the bucket hard?
Yes, I'm not losing. I'm not losing it.
For 3 Queenslanders, a routine fishing trip has turned into a desperate fight for survival 14 kilometres out to sea. 2 old 15-litre buckets filled with air are helping to keep them afloat.
We were just clinging to that 15-litre bucket, which I picked up from a job site for free. I just thought it will come handy one day.
And handy they were. One is wedged between Julian Honan and his dad, Micah. Stephen Jaycock is holding on to the other. Micah grabbed his phone before the tinny sank. Stephen now uses it to call 000.
And you managed to get through?
Yes, first go it went through. I'm quite amazing with the ups and downs of the swell that it actually held a phone call. Enough to tell them that we had no life jackets on, we're floating on buckets, we're at the Clounder 9 Mile fishing area, and basically that was the phone call. That's all we got out.
The call triggers a full-scale rescue effort covering a large area of ocean.
That's basically 9 miles off the coast.
Right.
But their fishing spot could be anywhere in that area there. That's probably anywhere up to probably 10 or 15 square miles they could have been at anchor.
Somewhere within that 9 mile
Somewhere in that area, yeah.
Mooloolaba Coast Guard Commander Bill Asher helped coordinate the search.
That night the wind was up to about 20 knots and the seas were up to 1.5 metres. So it was not a very good night to go searching. It was a 1,000,000 to 1 chance they would have been found.
Julian's mum, Susan, is told by police that her son is lost at sea without a life jacket and that his precise location is unknown.
Did you have a feeling that he would be somehow clinging to life, surviving out there?
It's the worst experience of your life. It's no words can describe how you felt at that time. It was terrible.
Because I can see in your eyes how much you adore this little boy.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's everything to you.
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
But her little boy is doing it tough. He's swallowing more and more water.
I put myself between the waves and Mikey and Julian by letting the waves hit me taking the brunt of them. It allowed him to breathe a lot easier and cleaner air.
6 hours is pretty long. And on 2 buckets, floating out of sea, getting not rescued, waiting, I get it. I'm actually waiting.
Waiting forever.
Yes.
And as they waited, their thoughts turned to what else could be in the water with them.
You caught an 80-kilo shark a fortnight before you went in the water.
Yep, in exactly the same spot.
A shark won't eat you. Everybody says this. It's not even true.
It's just fake news. You don't need to worry about the sharks out there.
Yes.
So you weren't scared at all?
Yes. We never see tips at the night time. Never.
Yeah.
By daybreak, Julian and the 2 fishermen have now been in the water for more than 4 hours. For most of that time, the 7-year-old is unconscious in his dad's arms.
Was there a point throughout this ordeal when you were worried you started to believe he and you may not survive?
Yes, most definitely. Most definitely, yes. I could see that Julian is getting way slower in his responses. Before he was chatting to me and just talking to me, and we reassured each other that how much we love each other, and he gave me kisses and I gave him kisses, and I was basically just breathing in his face just to sort of keep him warm.
Physically, Stephen is doing better than Micah and his boy. He fears they may die in front of him.
And I'm trying, in my mind, thinking, no, I don't want to lose them. You know, how can I stop them sinking to the bottom? I'm planning on pulling out the cord around my jumper and tying it to them and tying them to the buckets to, if they do die, that at least I know where they are. They're not missing towed forever, you know? It's just... It's not easy.
Well, forget the fatigue, the fear, the biting cold, the fear of bites from down below too, if you don't mind, and the fact that you're being kept afloat by nothing more than an old plastic bucket. The fishermen also had to contend with these things. This is a thoroughfare for these international cargo vessels on their way into the port of Brisbane. And the team involved with this extraordinary rescue say that it really is just a staggering run of good luck that they weren't caught in the path of one of these things and mowed down.
Paramedic Elliot Bates is part of the search crew in the rescue chopper, which, due to wild weather, can't take off until 6 a.m.
It's like a needle in a haystack. You're looking for these little tiny heads in amongst the whitecaps and the waves.
Did you allow yourself to hope that you would find them alive?
There's always, yeah, you're always hoping that you're going to find people alive, but as the time goes on and the conditions deteriorate, you start steeling yourself that if you do find someone, the likelihood of them being well is lower and lower.
And with good reason. Julian has now been near lifeless for hours.
Like, he had no movement. Basically, arms and legs were frozen. Head was thrown back, like in an upwards position for like 4 hours, and a gasp, like a...
He stopped talking. Yeah, the only thing where I could know he's still with me because he was breathing and he responded to my request to spit the water out. He was in a very, very bad shape, and I thought it would have been minutes.
He'd gone limp, he was virtually unresponsive. You think he came within minutes of dying?
Yes, 100%. 100%, yes. Yes. And there I just knew if, as I said, if he stops breathing, I just let the bucket go.
That was very hard to hear. I know how much Mikey loves that boy, and to hear him say that, it wasn't easy.
What did he actually say?
Just, if he dies, I'm going to the bottom with him. He said, I'm just going to wrap him up and go. He said, I can't live without him. Yeah. To me, that was just like, well, like that hit me hard hearing him say that, you know. But he just says he couldn't live without his boy, so.
I know if he goes, I'm going with him. If he stops breathing, I just let go of the bucket and I don't want to live myself.
With Julian now unresponsive, they hear in the distance the blades of a helicopter rotor. And then the unforgettable noise of a horn from one of those cargo ships.
One of the bulk carriers that's anchored up out there off Mooloolaba has seen 3 people in the water. So doors forward, we start moving that way nice and quickly.
Paramedic Elliot Bates spots the 3 fishermen.
There's 3 people in the water and they're moving. So you think, holy moly, these people are alive after this amount of time in that cold water.
Describe for me the moment you realised you'd been found.
I'm waving it, and I could see through the water, the chopper's coming, and then it's just stopped above us. And I've kept like, oh, right, now they actually know we're here.
Well, as the diver came down to us, I don't know if I was saying it or thinking it, but just basically just take my boy, get him out of here.
Here's the rescue crewman coming up, soaking wet with his child in track pants and a pyjama top, and he comes in through the door and he's lifeless. He's cold, he's not breathing, he's got no pulse. He's dead.
More than 6 hours after their tinny capsized, Stephen Jaycock and Micah Honan arrive safely on shore. They are rushed to hospital suffering from exposure and dehydration. But Micah's 7-year-old son is in a coma and fighting for his life.
At the time when he was pulled out of the ocean, he required in the helicopter a couple of minutes of CPR, cardiopulmonary resuscitation, because they didn't have any signs of life.
So technically, for a period of time at least in the helicopter, he died for a period?
Yes, yes. From all we know and what they described to us and what they observed, yes. They saved his life in the helicopter.
But at Queensland's Children's Hospital, there were fears Julian would suffer permanent brain damage and possibly never wake from his coma.
If you're being honest, did you expect him to wake up from that coma?
We had hopes that he may have a chance to live. Maybe a small hope that he would live intact.
By that you mean without brain damage?
Without brain damage, yes. But it would have been very slim.
Wow.
With that history, yes.
Julian was in a coma for 18 hours and, when he awoke, there was the warm embrace of a loving dad who'd kept him alive. And not long after, from his hospital bed...
I'm going careful.
Going careful?
Julian was back fishing with his dad again. He's completely recovered from his ordeal and is still coming to terms with what a great survival story he has to tell.
Yeah.
How's the fishing rod? You grab the leader, Gillies. You grab the leader. Oh, you caught a shark, Gillies.
I would have been so scared. But you, I can tell you weren't all that scared, were you?
Yes.
You were scared?
No.
No, not at all.
No.
How do you get so brave when you're so little?
I don't know.
You don't know, it just comes.
And there are a few others Julian, his dad and Stephen want to applaud. The brave team who came to their rescue.
Such a good sight seeing you come in.
Hey, Julian.
Hey, Julian, how are you?
Hey. Better than last time.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yes. Last time we saw you, you were very cold.
Yes.
Meeting his family and just sort of seeing that level of gratitude as the rescue crew. What's that like?
It's really good, not only be able to hear that he's done so well, but be able to see him today, upright, running around, hear the story of how he's been fishing and he's keen to get back to find more parrotfish. It makes the job all worthwhile.
For Julian's mum, Susan, time with her boy is now more precious than ever. She realises just how close she came to losing him.
So I have to ask this.
Mm-hmm.
Your last name?
Is Cork.
Cork. I mean, I just couldn't have designed a better last name for this story. He's obviously got cork in his blood. 6 hours surviving out there, bobbing along like a cork.
Oh, yeah, you can't sink a cork, they'd float.
What did everyone at school ask you? What sort of questions did they ask you?
What happened?
And what did you say to them?
You can look on the news. I know, I'm joking.
Well, will you at least let me tell you that I think you're the bravest little boy in Australia?
I am.
You are? You agree?
Yeah.
Thank goodness we at least agree on something. Deal? Yeah, good boy.